Hi, I'm Lippy.
And I'm Grumpy. Together we're Lippy and Grumpy Do Podcasting.
In this episode, car shows, spreadsheet sport, sleep facts, water leaks and insults.
Now Lippy, slightly different start to this week's podcast.
Yes.
Sadly, an ex-colleague and friend of mine passed away suddenly on Friday of last week. And I'd like to dedicate this episode to Chris Rebick. He was only 51 and a sad loss. But he wouldn't want us to not have a bit of fun. So no. On that basis, we should push forward as normal. So we had a very hot Sunday.
A very hot Sunday.
Yes. So we were in the commentary box for the Cranley Lions Classic Car Show on Sunday. And a great day it was. Didn't seem to be that busy compared to previous years, but apparently lots of people came through the gate and stayed for a shorter period of time, 2 or 3 hours, and then left again. So whilst it didn't look like a lot of people, they were changing frequently, if you see what I mean.
Yes.
So actually, people through the gate, which is the bit that matters, was good.
Yes, and when I had a short break, a little wander down, there were a lot of people in the cooling down area.
Yes, that was genius, wasn't it? Yes, yeah. That's it around the bar and the very good band, I thought.
Yes, very good band.
Good. Yeah, so it was a bit of a long day, as it always is, and it was made a bit more tested by the heat. But I think everybody had a good time. We managed to get almost all of the arena events in.
Yes.
Unfortunately, you couldn't be cut out of the car because, quite wisely, Surrey Fire Service had said to Cranley branch, is that the right term?
Yeah.
Depot? Depot? Not sure. Station. It'd be a station, wouldn't it? Of course it'd be a station.
Station.
They said that they're not allowed to do a demonstration without the safety gear on, and it was too hot to wear the safety gear.
Yes.
So instead we had a very good tour of the fire engine.
Yeah.
Apart from the radio mics didn't work when we went the other side.
Yes, it didn't like that, did it? When
it didn't like that.
The van got in the way of the connection.
And we had a couple of others that we had to cut short, but we managed a gymkhana, which rather embarrassingly, wife of Grumpy, who stepped in at the last minute because one of the cars was overheating, won a very large bottle of Prosecco.
Not to sound like a sore loser, right? But they cheated.
Oh, there was lots of cheating going on from...
They cheated the most.
Well, very possibly. They did have a slight disadvantage, though, because wife of Grumpy was in the MX-5, and one of the tasks is to throw fairly light balls into a bucket, but the driver's side window doesn't go down.
Well, so that's where they cheated, because they just took the bag and tipped it into the... They didn't throw them, they tipped them from the bag and only from one side, so she didn't need to have her window go down for that.
I didn't witness that. Yes.
She got all balls in.
Well, I have bought the bottle of Prosecco, and I don't think I can claim for it back. So that cost me dearly, that one. Yes, and you and the Horse Whisperer came second, which was...
We did.
Very good.
My competitive side definitely did come out. I booed at one point, but other than that, I've thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah,
it was good. It was good fun, and there were some great photos that we saw later that evening of you throwing balls out of the sunroof. But that was really the only sensible thing to do, because the Mini is so narrow that you're never going to get them in either side. So that was...
No, go for one side, lean out the top.
Quite cunning, I thought, yes. And we also, for the first time, due to a chance meeting by one of the other commentators with his neighbour's daughter's boyfriend, very tentative connection, whose dad has got a collection of race motorbikes, and these are really special, really, really special. And they brought 4 along, and I think the collection's much, much bigger than that. But obviously they're restricted with how many they can move in at any one time. One of them was a race-winning Ducati that was very special. And I'm not big on motorbike racing, but one of our other Lions is. And he was very, very excited by the whole thing. And they decided, as well, we discussed it before, about starting them in the arena and making lots of noise so it attracts people down to the arena. And by God, did it make some noise.
Like, the whole van was shaking, I thought.
It was shaking. Unfortunately, wife of Grumpy was in the box at that point and just turned around and said, why do they have to do that?
You could tell the people that didn't really like cars or motor vehicles or
exactly.
anything.
Yeah, exactly. But that generated an awful lot of interest, that collection. A lot of people went down after the arena event, had a good look and a chat. And they're two lovely people as well. And, they've built this collection over the years. And there's some real historic bikes in there. It's brilliant that they're still used as well. They'll still ride them on track days and sort of classic bike events, which is brilliant.
Very, very good.
Anyway, we've jumped ahead of ourselves slightly there.
We did. We got a bit excited.
We got a bit excited. So there are a couple of bits from last week. Now, we were talking during the week, and I can't remember why this came up. I think you were on the Underground. And we decided that is the perfect example of a curate's egg.
Yeah. I had a nightmare journey home.
Yeah, and it's, the tube is good because it gets you from A to B, but it's a nightmare because it gets packed, you've got to deal with other people's armpits and all sorts of...
Yeah, they change your
things.
final destination halfway through, so you get off the chain, and then as you see it pull away, they've changed the final destination back to the destination that you're meant to be going to, and then you have to wait 20 minutes for the next one.
That is very annoying. It's one of the reasons I don't like the tube.
Yeah.
And I've been to London with a friend of mine. We went to a conference years and years ago, and we got to Waterloo, and I said, should we go on the tube? He went, no, don't do the tube. He said, only do taxis. So we got in a taxi, and I thought, actually, I quite like this, but it's not cheap.
I love using a taxi in London, because otherwise I feel like you go underground, then you pop up.
Yes.
But when you're in a taxi, you kind of see how everything links together, and like where places are next to each other, which my awareness in London isn't very good because I literally go underground, then pop up.
Yeah.
And I'm like in Leicester Square, and then I pop up again, and I'm somewhere else, and then again, and I don't really know what they're next to or around because I just pop up in places.
Yeah, so the tube map isn't really representative of the map of London.
No.
I think there is one around that shows it better with the scale and the gap between the stations and when they exist. The other thing, of course, is the bus is very good at sightseeing.
Yes,
if you're on the bus, but they do tend to get a bit crowded. The latest taxis, electric taxis, are brilliant because they've got a massive glass roof. So you get just a panoramic view. They're really good. If you can get into an electric taxi, that well worth doing.
Try that next time.
Anyway, now, obviously, car show, there's going to be Davros and Orange Marshall 2 in attendance. And he sent me a message on Monday. I think he was a bit late listening to it. So he did point out that measuring sea level by satellite will be an average. You're quite right, Davros, but as I said, I don't care anymore. I'm over it. However, he then did make a very good point about another Earth-like planet in our solar system. Kepler 186f is not in our solar system. Perhaps you mean galaxy. Yes, I do. Thank you very much. And I'm not referring to the chocolate product either. And then he goes on to say, typically, as a character that has conquered many, many alien worlds, anyhow, any good Whovonian knows that the 10th planet is Mondas. I don't know what that means. I have no idea what it means. And I have no desire to know what it means either. But thank you, Davros, for getting in touch.
Do you know what film I watched yesterday?
No,
Slightly linked. Interstellar.
Is that the one with Sandra Bullock?
No. It's the one with Anne Hathaway and the guy who's from Texas.
Oh, well, that doesn't narrow it down much.
Matthew McConaughey.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Really I think I have seen that. It's quite good, yeah.
Where they're looking for another planet to live on. There's some dust cloud or something, I don't know. Very interesting.
You were telling me you had a bit of an incident.
Oh, I did yesterday evening.
Was this while watching Interstellar?
It wasn't, no. It was getting ready for bed. I normally go to bed first, or I at least get into bed first, and we have an old-fashioned ceiling fan, which I absolutely hated when we moved in, and we were going to get rid of.
You were?
Yes. Until we realised it's actually incredible. Like, I haven't been that hot overnight. And I mean, we all know it's been quite warm, but I've been absolutely fine. I haven't been sweaty in the night. I've literally been a lovely temperature, a bit warm,
yeah,
but not like sweaty. So it is really good. So anyway, we have that on every night. In order for that to work, though, we had to take the bulb out because you couldn't have the fan on without the light on.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, so the bulb's out, but the fan's on, so that's all that matters, and you can turn off with the remote. So Chris happened to get into bed first, and he turned it on, and I stood at the bottom of the bed getting ready for bed, lifted my hands above my head,
no.
and my hand went smashing into the fan at high speed. And you can't really see. Not that anyone else can see. It would only be you that could see because this is a podcast. Ooh. But I've got a bruise along here where it whacked straight in.
Well, I can see a tiny mark.
Yeah, I mean, it is tiny. But oh my God, did it hurt. I had pins and needles in my hand for ages.
Yeah, it would have been a hell of a whack and a surprise. And I think that's...
Yeah. So now that's 2 hands I've injured. Still, the other one was worse, but that was a good go. We had a good go at that hand.
You are a little accident prone, it has to be said.
Slightly, yes. Yes.
Just a bit. Well, don't do it again.
Well,
maybe you need a cage around it.
Yeah. And ironically, Duck Boy had literally said to me about 10 seconds before, "Oh, be careful because the fan's on."
Oh, so you just weren't listening.
I didn't process what that meant. I was like, yeah, I know the fan's on. I can feel it.
Nope.
No, but I heard that the fan was on, but I didn't process in my brain that meant don't put my hands in the air because I'll get hit.
Yeah, that means you're not listening. Now, talking of Duck Boy, I think he was the one that sent this round. The World Excel Championships being broadcast on ESPN, which I'm assuming is a sports channel, is it?
Yeah, ESPN is an American sports channel.
So Excel, I don't know whether it's a battle or whatever you would call it.
I believe from the brief understanding that I have is that you have different tasks that you have to complete.
Right.
And you go through levels.
Sounds like a job interview rather than a sport. Well, I didn't get to see any because obviously I was tied up with car show. But and I'm not sure I want to be honest.
Part of me really wants to, and the other part of me really doesn't.
No, I see too many spreadsheets at work. I'm not sure that...
I'm semi-intrigued. I don't really want to see, like, the whole, this is how you do it. But I would quite like to see, like, the final thing and be like, look what I did with the spreadsheet. And it, like, comes up with all the cool stuff.
Yeah. Well, you could, I suppose possibly you could learn some stuff. The only thing I can equate it to is many years ago, and this is a very long time ago, there was broadcasts, I think it might have been on the BBC, chess championships. And it was just at the time where you had sort of aids that you could use on the screen. So they had like a tablet and a pen, not an iPad tablet, but a thing that would draw on the screen. So they could then highlight different pieces on the chessboard and show the moves and what have you. And there was 3 chess experts in the commentating room, and they were fighting over who had control of the pen and pad. That was more entertaining than anything else, and it was a definite nerd off. And it was a bit like something for The Big Bang Theory because none of them had any upper body strength whatsoever, so they're not able to fight one another off. I mean, it's a stereotypical nerd thing. And I would imagine this could have been a bit like it. Interestingly, it says in this article that ESPN has also shown the Ultimate Frisbee Championship. It actually sounds quite fun.
I've heard that is actually crazy, though.
Well, they can go really wild, can't they? Go astray. It'll be interesting to see the control.
And you have like ones in the woods. Like, how do you throw a frisbee in the woods?
Well, with care, I would imagine. And
very
also
precisely.
A paper airplane championship, and piece de resistance, the World Air Guitar Championship.
Oh, like literally air guitar. What's that? Guitar Hero, like Guitar Hero.
No, well,
or literally air guitar.
No, air guitar. Not
love that.
No, so no equipment, just pretending to play, which you would normally do in the confines of your bedroom, is now available on ESPN.
Love it.
So, great that they put in some very obscure things on there.
Yes.
Rather than just normal mainstream stuff. Now, we all like a little bit of sleep, don't we?
Oh, I love my sleep.
Or quite a lot of it. I've not had much this week, but I did have a a mammoth one last Sunday. I don't think I woke up till 12 o'clock, which was really quite pleasant.
I'm a 10-hour a-nighter.
Yeah, I'd normally go for 8, but last couple of mornings it's been a bit harder to get up at 6, but maybe tomorrow. So apparently, things you can't do when sleeping, sneeze, which is odd. So I can imagine if you sneeze, you must have woken up because you know you've sneezed.
I don't think I've ever sneezed in the middle of the night.
Oh, I think I have, but I've woken up to do it, so I've not been asleep.
And then woken the rest of the house up.
Oh, almost certainly. There have been all sorts of other bodily sounds as well at the same time. But this one's an interesting one. I've wondered this before. People who were born blind dream in touch, smells and sounds. So I don't know how that would work in the head, but I suppose you get the sensation of those, which is no difference for us dreaming in with pictures and sound.
And smell and sound. That is very interesting, actually.
Yeah, it is.
Because I guess you can't even make a picture because you don't know what anything looks like.
No, there's no reference in your head. Now, how long do you think the record for the longest period without sleep is?
I can't imagine it's long because I feel like you really, like your body just you pass out.
Well, yeah, sleep deprivation will kill you before other things.
So I feel like let's go with...
Sorry, when I say other things, obviously if you've been chased by a very hungry lion, that's going to do you more damage. So what did you say?
I'm going with a week.
It's actually 11 days, so you went far off.
Yeah.
I struggled to manage not sleeping for 11 hours.
Yeah, imagine being awake for 11 days.
Yeah.
I couldn't.
And I mean, this was a record attempt. This was in 1964. Randy Gardner, who was 17. Lack of sleep caused moodiness, which we all know.
He was 17 as well, though, so...
Yeah, it makes a difference. Well, yeah, but teenagers love their sleep. So actually, maybe that's a bigger thing. Problems with concentration, short-term memory, and hallucinations, which I've had after about 10 minutes of being awake. And after that, he only slept for 14 hours, which doesn't seem like anywhere near enough.
And is that what they say you would need to recover from that amount of lack of sleep?
I think everybody's different. Everybody's sleep needs are different.
Yeah. So I think it would... you probably wouldn't sleep for longer than 14 hours in one go, but you would need to go back to sleep quite quickly, I feel like.
Yeah, but I have read things where they say you can't actually catch up on missed sleep. It's not possible.
And that sounds like a load of rubbish to me. Like, surely your body isn't always tired because you missed 2 hours a couple nights ago.
I don't know the answer to that one. And I'm putting it in the same box as sea level.
Over it.
Interesting. Yeah, just not over it. Yes, over it. Now, elephants. How long do you think they sleep a night?
Elephants. I feel like I knew this. I feel like this is something I got told when I went to Tanzania. If anyone knew that, I went to Tanzania.
Yeah,
I feel like they sleep for like 4 hours.
You're not far off. It's only 2.
Nah, I didn't think it was long.
I'm surprised it's that short, but maybe they haven't got small brains. They're very clever, aren't they?
Yeah,
Apparently.
they've got a good memory.
Yeah, not very good with a Rubik's Cube. But and the last one of this is apparently Google was invented in a dream. So he dreamt up the search engine. That's
not actually that surprising, because I have really weird dreams sometimes. The surprising thing is that he remembered it.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, because you forget a massive amount of dreams. It's here we are. You forget 50% of your dreams within 5 minutes of waking up and 90% within another 5 minutes. So I guess the question was, or is, if you had enough foresight to invent Google in your sleep, what the other 90%, what on earth did you come up with?
Yeah. All the inventions there, isn't it?
There are many, many inventions. Anyway, this is all making me a little bit tired. Infinite? Well, no, because we've only got a finite time, so...
There's still an infinite amount of inventions.
I suppose so.
Keep being invented.
Yes, but I'm sure there's an infinite number. Anyway, we haven't covered cars for a while, I don't think, apart from the car show at the beginning of this podcast.
Yeah.
Now, I thought I'd talked about Ralph Nadar on this, but I think I only read about it while I was on holiday. Now, Ralph Nadar came out with a book called Unsafe at Any Speed. in the 1960s, and it was about the Corvair. And he, although he wasn't an engineer of any description, he'd come up with the idea, and I think he'd seen some photos of the car turning over in testing that he thought it was unsafe. And by the time this book was released, not only had the suspension on this car been changed and improved, it was never proved that it was unsafe at all, or any less safe than any of the other cars on the market at the moment. So that book managed to kill that car. And it's interesting because some people have kept them and restored them. And there's quite a big club around the Corvair. And this guy who was talking about them quite passionately took it to a sort of classic car parade. And there was an E-Type Jag in front of him. And this guy decides to put his foot down, ran out of talent. E-Type Jag goes off the road, or off the track, into the tyre wall. So the chap in the Corvair just drives past him, gets onto the start-finish straight where there's a commentator. And the guy's first words were, "Oh, here's a Corvair, unsafe at any speed," having just driven past the wreck of an E-Type Jaguar. So he managed to kill that, and arguably he was not qualified to do that, and it's one of these campaigns that really should never have happened. And he's still around, and he's still and arguably he went on to do lots of safety things with cars, so maybe he has been of value in the industry. But he's now saying that the self-driving technology in Teslas is one of the most dangerous and irresponsible actions by a car company in decades.
That might be a little bit extreme.
I think it is, and I think some of the stuff that Tesla have put on there have been a bit too much and hasn't worked brilliantly. I mean, the case of the car crashing into the plane, for example.
Yeah.
I mean, it's an edge condition. It's not something that's going to happen every day, but it is something that's going to happen. And there's obviously a flaw in the way that it's detecting objects around it. And this rolling stop thing with four-way stops as well does seem a bit odd, but actually that's what most of us would do. We wouldn't stop. If we could see it was clear in every direction, we would go. So it's mimicking that. As long as it can see well enough, it's not a problem. So it'll be interesting to see what this announcement has on the effect of Tesla, and whether any of the federal organisations that oversee it, that's equivalent of our DVLA, I suppose, or Department of Transport, what they think of it. Yeah, I'm slightly sceptical about his announcement, but then at the same time, we've covered a lot of odd Tesla activities on this podcast, so tricky one.
Yeah, it's going to take a while to get right, isn't it? I don't think a sweeping statement of it being dangerous and irresponsible forever. No,
and I think in this country, you can't go and sit in the passenger seat while the car's going, and it'd be interesting to know whether these add-ons have reduced accidents or just made people drive worse, which is a possibility.
Yeah.
Who knows? But we'll keep an eye on that and see what
the thing I've always thought is the biggest issue with self-driving cars is people driving cars alongside a self-driving car, because how can the self-driving car know what a human is going to do in a car?
That's a very good point. And having cars that are communicating with one another, so you can pre-warn others what you're going to do before you do it, makes that a lot safer. But you're right, if you've got somebody in a classic car, or just a car that doesn't have this on there, you've got to rely on a detection process. And I think we talked a while back about Tesla not picking the most common one, using a different system to do that. So it'll be interesting to see how that matures over the next 10 years, I guess. It's not going to be any sooner than that.
No.
But there is a book that's unsafe at any speed, and I have tried to buy it a few times, but it's so flippin' expensive. It's ridiculous. For a book that I'm just going to tut all the way through, it's a bit
not
too
worth
much.
the money.
But what did turn up this week, we spoke about the New York to Paris auto race in 1908 last week.
We did.
And I managed to find a book for only a few pounds, and it's an ex-library book, and it's turned up today, and it's a big old beast, actually. It's,
might take you a while to get through that.
It's nearly 400 pages.
Oh, wow.
But it's quite big type, so I can read it, which is good. So Yes, I shall be reading that whilst I'm at Wayfest.
Lovely.
This weekend. Indeed. Right, now I've got to have a rant.
Yes.
Unfortunately.
Been waiting for this.
Yeah, it's you knew it was coming. So you may have seen it has been in the press and on the television that we were without water for most of the weekend due to, in my view, Thames Water's approach on new developments in the area. So instead of increasing or replacing pipes, they turn the pressure up. And, of course, what happens, they start bursting all over the place. So there was a fault at, I think it was at Gomshall, with the where they suck the water out of a borehole there. And then that's covered a wide area, so that goes in different directions. So it only wasn't just Cranley in the area, it was sort of to Red Hill as well. And, I mean, their communication is just dreadful. It is, we're working on it, and, there's 4 bottles of water at the leisure centre for people to pick up, and it has improved since then. But if you're going to have this approach of we're not going to replace anything, we're going to fix it when it fails, you've got to have a plan for when it fails, because it will fail.
A quick one as well.
Absolutely. And what they've been doing is getting big tankers of water and filling the reservoir at the highest point in Cranley, so they can then pump it through. And that worked for a while on Saturday. I managed to get a shower in at 6:30 on Sunday morning before going to the car show. And then it was off again until the following morning. But as soon as they started filling up that reservoir, all the water starts coming out the road, where the leaks that they haven't repaired for a considerable amount of time are still there. But of course, what happens every time the water goes off and then it goes back on again, it bursts somewhere else. So
there's too much pressure.
Yeah, 2 big bursts in Cranley and a massive one at Dunsfold. So Dunsfold has been without water. I don't know if it's back on now. And one of the bursts that was Sunday evening, he's using asbestos pipes, which we've been pleading to change for many, many years, and it needs a specialist team to fix it, because you can't just pick the asbestos up, because it's really dangerous stuff. Quite how it's okay to pass water to a house through an asbestos pipe, I don't know. I don't get it. And a lot of the problem is dry weather, the ground's moving, and pipes are cracking. But I think I drove to Leatherhead on Thursday, and I must have driven past 4 or 5 leaks in, 20 odd miles?
That's not good.
It's good. And apparently they're losing, let me get the figure right, it is 635 million litres of water per day Thames Water loses.
From leaks?
From leaks.
That is actually outrageous.
So there's an upcoming hosepipe ban, but actually if you stop the leaks...
We wouldn't need a hosepipe ban.
We wouldn't need a hosepipe ban. And I understand, I don't know if this is true or not, but a previous CEO of Thames Water decided to change so if you've got a property that's cut into flats, separated into flats, instead of that being one property, if there's 4 flats on there, that's 4 properties. So instantly, and particularly in London, that's very, very common. So it then reduced the number of leaks per household down to an acceptable level.
Because they divided it by 4.
Because all of a sudden, you've got more properties on there.
That is outrageous.
It is outrageous. And there's a lot of very, very angry people. And, for us to be without water, it's an inconvenience. We've got cold and hot water tanks. So when it filled up on Saturday night, we had something to play with. But other people, if you had young children, for example, and there was people on the community board who got young kids and using washable nappies in the middle of a heat wave, that's not brilliant. No. And then there's farmers, got no water, and because they're commercial, Thames Water just does not care about them at all. They say it's commercial, you need to sort yourself out. It's not acceptable at all. No. And our local Surrey councillor, Liz Townsend, has been absolutely on the ball. She has been pounding them for the best part of 2 or 3 years over this, and their approach to extra developments in Cranley and over this whole thing. And regrettably, our MP suddenly piped up on Sunday evening with, if you're still not without water, can you let me know? I'm going to talk to Thames Water tomorrow. Somebody very politely said, I think you're a bit late to the party.
Yeah. Just a tad.
Just a tad. But interestingly, we had the TV crews down again Monday morning, and there were more Thames water vans in that car park than I've ever seen before.
Because it's on national news now.
But yeah, and all of a sudden we've got to save a bit of face. So there is only one solution in my mind to this, and this is to bring it back into public ownership. There is no benefit whatsoever apart from selling the family silver, as they say in the 80s. It was a crazy, crazy thing. And the same's true of the electricity companies, and that going up and up and up. Anyway, I'm going to stop ranting now. But somewhat connected with that, I do have some insults, historic insults, and there's quite a list here, but I'm only going to do a few of them. And the first one was from a gentleman called Moses Haydas, who was an American teacher. And he said, "Thank you for sending me a copy of your book. I'll waste no time reading it."
Love that.
And then we have correspondence between George Bernard Shaw and Winston Churchill. So George Bernard Shaw says, "I've enclosing 2 tickets to the first night of my new play. Bring a friend if you have one." To which Winston Churchill responded with, "Cannot possibly attend first night. Will attend second if there is one."
Both very good.
Groucho Marx, "I've had a perfectly wonderful evening, but I'm afraid this wasn't it." Very good. And the last one from Abraham Lincoln, and I like this one a lot because I see it so often. "He can compress the most words into the smallest idea of any man I know." All talk and not much
I don't know
content.
who that reminds me of.
No, not you. Well, it might be a bit.
Sometimes.
Anyway, do you have a top tip for us?
Kind of. It's kind of a top tip.
Okay.
It's kind of not. It's kind of a work tip.
Oh, that's good.
But a fun work tip. So I'm part of quite a small company. Technically a startup, but they've been going for a while now, so I don't know if they're still classed as a startup, but quite small anyway. And trying to increase culture, and have more team outings and things. And it is quite hard to get it signed off by the finance team to go and do stuff.
Yes.
Especially with my manager's manager as the CFO. So my team outing is with the CFO and the finance team, which is great fun. We always have a good time. When I say we've been out once. And the last time I went out was the first time my manager had been out with the team in 3 years, COVID included, but still. So I've come up with a plan that has seemed to have worked very well. I'll keep you looped in because it hasn't quite happened yet. However,
looped in.
Is that not
it's a bit well, it is a bit corporate. That's all. Looped in.
It's because I'm talking about work. So the CFO is currently on holiday for 2 weeks, having a lovely time somewhere. So what I've done is I've booked a team social and just sent him the bill.
Oh, very good.
So
what happens if he doesn't pay it?
Well, it's a deposit, which I paid on my company card.
Oh, okay.
So if we don't go, we lose the money. And if we do go, then we get a team outing. So we'll see how it goes. I can't see him wanting to just lose the money on the deposit now.
No, I wouldn't have thought so.
Exactly.
No.
So my top tip is just do it. That's my tip.
Yeah, I'd be a bit careful with that one, but...
yeah, see how far you get.
Yeah. Well, I hadn't actually prepared a saying, so I was frantically looking through the book, and then you said in the loop, or what looped up or looped in. So I thought, I'll look that one up. And it comes from military terminology with officers in command needing to pass on orders to the soldiers, keeping lines of communication open and regularly updated in a feedback loop so all personnel are informed. So it's not corporate, it's military.
Military, I use that quite a lot. I'll loop you in.
Wow.
The other one I use is I'll ping it over.
I don't like that term.
Well, because I do a lot of stuff on Microsoft Teams, so it's literally a ping.
It's not really, because a ping, you think of submarines, they'll have a ping, and it sends out a ping, which then gets bounced back again. So it's used to detect how far things are away from the submarine.
Ah.
And a ping in computer network terms, it's exactly the same thing. So you'll ping an address and it will come back with how long it took to get there and come back. So when you ping an email, you're only getting one direction. You're not getting it back again. So that is a term that does slightly frustrate me a bit.
I see, okay. I'll stop using it.
It's not as bad as over and out,
No,
which I did hear on Sunday.
I heard you hear it on Sunday as well. Not only did I hear it, I heard you hear it.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody heard it because I think I might have had the microphone on at the time. Every time. That's it for this podcast. Thank you so much for listening.
You can help spread Lippy and Grumpy's view on life by leaving a review on your favourite podcast platform.
If you're not sure how to leave a review, or if you download from Spotify, there's some help at lippyandgrumpy.uk/review.
And if you would like to get in touch, email podcast@lippyandgrumpy.uk.
So it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from him.
Goodbye.
Bye.